La 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 drifted through the air like a tune that had forgotten its origin, light and careless, a melody that existed only to fill the quiet spaces between thoughts. It was interrupted by a simple greeting, a casual hey that carried with it the weight of an ordinary day about to become something else entirely. Yes, came the reply, equally simple, as though nothing remarkable was about to unfold. Darlene turned slightly, gesturing toward the man beside her with a mixture of indifference and reluctant introduction. "Oh, Becky. This is Ben. Ben. My sister Becky." The words landed with a quiet finality, as if she knew exactly what she had just set in motion. Becky stepped forward with the confidence of someone who had never met a boundary she did not feel tempted to cross. "Perfect," she said, brushing an imaginary speck from her sleeve. "I am on break." Her eyes settled on Ben with sharp curiosity, the kind that examined rather than welcomed. "So nice to finally meet you." There was a pause, deliberate and measured. "So what do you see in her?" Ben blinked, caught between politeness and confusion. "Excuse me." Becky folded her arms, settling into her role as interrogator. "As the first person in the family to finally meet you, I feel a certain obligation to ask the important questions." Her tone softened just enough to make the next sentence land harder. "Are you serious about her, or is it just about the disappointing intimacy?" The air shifted. Even the lingering melody seemed to retreat. "That was wildly inappropriate," Ben said, though his voice carried more surprise than anger. Darlene did not hesitate. "The intimacy is not disappointing. He is a middle-aged man doing the best that he can." Ben turned to her, unsure whether he had just been defended or gently insulted. Becky nodded slowly, absorbing the exchange like a critic evaluating a performance. "Okay," she said at last. "I understand. The gloves are off." She leaned forward slightly, energy sharpening. "All right. Let us do this." Darlene will not commit to anything serious because she is afraid to be vulnerable. Darlene's eyes narrowed. "And you seem like a lunatic." Becky smiled, unfazed. "My turn again. I am afraid to be vulnerable." Darlene replied, "Because he is too old to have never been married. And I think there is something broken inside there." Ben inhaled, the conversation slipping beyond anything he had anticipated. "Who says I am not married? You barely know me." The words lingered, heavier than the rest. For a brief moment, the rhythm broke. "Let us go?" Darlene said quickly, stepping away from the tension she had helped create. "That is my dad." Ben glanced in the direction she indicated, curiosity returning. "Why can I not meet him?" "Because we have to do this one Connor at a time," she replied. You barely got past Becky. Across the room, Dan stood with a quiet steadiness that seemed to anchor everything around him. He carried the calm of someone who had lived through enough chaos to recognize that most of it eventually passed. "What is up, Daddy-o?" Becky called, her tone shifting effortlessly back to casual affection. "Picking up lunch for my crew," Dan replied, lifting a bag slightly as proof. "No need to lie to me, Dad. Enjoy your 4 meals." He smiled faintly, choosing not to argue. Nearby, Louise approached with an energy that felt both nostalgic and newly alive. "Hey, Dan." "Hey, Louise." There was a brief pause, filled not with awkwardness, but with memory. "Remember when we were talking about your band?" Louise said, and I could not remember the name of that group I used to like. "I found them." Dan leaned closer, curiosity lighting his expression. "Oh my God. Baby Huey and the Babysitters." "Messing with the kid," Louise added. "You can call it what you want," Dan said, "but I call it messing with the kid." His voice softened as he slipped into recollection. "You know, when I first got to Chicago, I actually sat in with them." "No," Louise said, half laughing. "Oh yes." Then they looked over, saw me sitting on the edge of the stage, and I got thrown out. Her laughter came easily, warm and genuine. "It is so nice to have you back." Dan nodded slowly. I remember you packing your drums into your car after graduation and heading out to Chicago. Yeah, he said. That was the beginning of a long, slow climb to the bottom. Louise studied him with a soft smile. I was jealous of you. He raised an eyebrow. I still think about what would have happened if I had taken my guitar and left like you did. Do not be too hard on yourself. Dan replied. You were terrible. She laughed again. I am fine with that. I am the Jimmy Page of drywall. Their shared humor settled between them like something comfortable and familiar. Then Louise shifted slightly, her tone brightening. I have an extra ticket for a concert tomorrow night. You want to come with me and my friends? Dan hesitated, then nodded. Sounds good. Elsewhere. The mood changed abruptly. Harris stood near the doorway, her posture defensive, her expression caught between embarrassment and stubborn pride. What happened? Darlene asked. She is fine, the officer said calmly. Are you the mother? No. I am the aunt. The officer continued. She was caught drinking in the woods with some of her friends. Harris rolled her eyes. I am the only one who did not get away because I was wearing heels. Darlene stared at her. Why were you wearing heels in the woods? Harris shrugged. There was a guy there that I liked, and I wanted to look good. The officer paused, clearly unsure how to respond. You must be very proud. Thank you, officer, Darlene said quickly. I can take it from here. When the door closed, silence filled the room for a moment. Come back here, Darlene said, her voice firm. Harris braced herself. All right. Let us have the lecture. Yes. You are going to get a lecture, Darlene said. But the lecture took an unexpected turn. First, you need to figure out your escape route before you get drunk. Harris blinked. What? Make sure it is downhill, so if you trip, you can roll away. Why are you telling me this? Because even though I am not happy about what you did, I do not want you getting caught because your friends are careless. Harris looked at her differently now, surprise softening her expression. Thank you. Darlene shrugged slightly, uncomfortable with the sincerity. You know, Harris said after a moment, I am surprised you are helping me. I thought you did not like me. Darlene frowned. Of course I like you. Why would you think that? Because I have been here for a year and you barely talk to me. Darlene hesitated, then gestured for her to sit. Remember when you were 8? And I showed you what I thought was a strong woman. Harris nodded slowly. That movie had more intense moments than anything I had ever seen. Your mother was not happy about that, Darlene said. Ever since then, I have been careful around you. There was a pause. We are different people, she added. That is all. Harris leaned forward slightly. Are you cool enough to not tell my mom about tonight? Darlene considered it. Stop drinking in the woods. And this is your one pass. Harris smiled with relief. Thank you. It will not happen again. But you cannot tell her that I did not tell her. Darlene added. Why would I do that? Because someday you will think you are friends. And you will want to share everything. Do not fall for that. It is a trap. Harris laughed quietly. Across the house, conversations overlapped, blending humor with frustration, memory with possibility. Dan sat with his ticket in hand, Louise's laughter echoing faintly in his thoughts. Becky stirred trouble with casual ease. Darlene balanced care and distance in equal measure. Harris stood at the edge of growing up, testing boundaries she did not yet fully understand. Nothing was perfect. Nothing was simple. But there was something steady beneath it all. Something that held them together even when they pushed each other apart. It was not grand or dramatic. It was not always kind. But it was real. And in the quiet moments between the noise, that reality felt like enough. Because in a world that rarely offered certainty, they still had each other. And sometimes, that was the only thing that mattered. La 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 drifted softly through the air like a tune that had forgotten where it began and did not quite care where it would end. It floated above the hum of conversation and the clatter of dishes, wrapping itself gently around the small corner of the world where Darlene stood, tapping her fingers against the counter as if she were keeping time with something only she could hear. When she finally looked up, she noticed Becky approaching, her expression already sharpened with curiosity and a hint of mischief that promised trouble for anyone standing too close. "Hey." "Yes." "Oh, Becky. This is Ben." "Ben. My sister Becky." Becky paused just long enough to let the moment stretch, her eyes moving from Darlene to Ben as if she were evaluating a piece of furniture she might or might not want to keep. Then she smiled. The kind of smile that suggested warmth but carried the unmistakable edge of interrogation. "Perfect. I am on break." Ben extended a polite nod, unsure whether to sit, stand, or brace himself. Becky leaned slightly forward, studying him like a puzzle she intended to solve whether it wanted solving or not. "So nice to finally meet you. So what do you see in her?" "Excuse me." Her tone remained light, but her gaze did not soften. As the first person in the family to finally meet Ben, I feel a certain obligation to grill him and make him feel uncomfortable. "So are you serious about her, or is it just about the disappointing sex?" There was a brief silence that seemed to swallow the room before Ben could respond. Darlene, however, did not hesitate. That was wildly inappropriate. The sex is not disappointing. He is a middle-aged man doing the best that he can. Ben blinked, unsure whether he had just been defended or insulted. "Okay, I get it." Becky straightened, cracking her knuckles as though preparing for a friendly but relentless match. "The gloves are off. All right, let us do this." Darlene will not commit to being serious because she is afraid to be vulnerable. Darlene crossed her arms. "And you seem like a lunatic." "Okay. My turn. My turn." Her voice sharpened, but there was humor beneath it, like a spark that refused to turn into a flame. "I am afraid to be vulnerable because he is too old to have never been married, and I think there is something broken inside there." Ben raised an eyebrow. "Who says I am not married? You barely know me. Let us go?" Before the conversation could spiral further, Darlene pointed toward the entrance where a familiar figure walked in, carrying the weight of routine and the quiet dignity of someone who had lived long enough to know that life rarely went as planned. "That is my dad." "Oh, why can I not meet him?" "Oh, we have to do this one Connor at a time." You barely got past Becky. Across the room, Dan greeted the air with a casual ease, as though the world owed him nothing and he was perfectly content with that arrangement. "What up, Daddy-o?" "Picking up lunch for my crew. No need to lie to me." "Dad, enjoy your 4 meals." Dan chuckled, shaking his head. "Hey, Dan. Hey, Louise." Louise approached with a brightness that seemed to follow her wherever she went, like sunlight slipping through the cracks of ordinary days. "Remember when we were talking about your band, and I could not remember the name of that group I used to like?" "Found them." Dan's eyes widened with recognition. "Oh my God. Baby Huey and the Babysitters. Messing with the Kid. You can call it what you want, but I call it messing with the kid." Louise laughed, the sound light and genuine. "You know, right when I left Lanford, I got to Chicago. I sat in with them." "No." "Oh yes." Then they looked over, saw me sitting on the edge of the stage, and I got thrown out. Dan smiled, a quiet warmth settling into his expression. "It is so nice to have you back." Time seemed to fold gently around them as memories surfaced, not as burdens, but as companions. "I remember you packing your drums in the back of your LeBaron after graduation and heading out to Chicago with your band." "Yes." That was the beginning of the long, slow climb to the bottom. Louise tilted her head. "Well, I was jealous of you. I still kick myself for not taking my guitar and hitting the road like you did." "Do not beat yourself up. You were terrible." Dan laughed. "I am okay with that. I am kind of the Jimmy Page of drywall." Louise leaned in slightly, lowering her voice as if sharing a secret. "So, I have a little surprise for you, too. I have an extra ticket for an oldies concert in Ravinia tomorrow night. You want to go with me and my buddies?" Dan hesitated, curiosity flickering across his face. Who was playing? Just a bunch of bands from the 60s and 70s. What is left of them anyway? There is Gladys Knight and the Pip. The Two Tops. And a Righteous Brother. I am going on the odd chance I get to see One Dog Night. The world continued to turn, weaving laughter and awkwardness, memory and possibility into a single thread that refused to break. Later, under a sky that seemed indifferent to teenage mistakes and adult worries alike, Harris stood with Jackie, the remnants of a bad decision clinging to her like the smell of smoke that never quite faded. What happened? Are you okay? She is fine. Are you the mom? No. I am the aunt. What happened? She got caught drinking in the woods with some of her friends. I am the only one who did not get away because I was wearing heels. Jackie stared at her. Why were you wearing heels in the woods? There was a guy there that I liked. And I wanted my ass to look good. Jackie sighed. Somewhere between disbelief and reluctant admiration. You must be very proud. Despite everything. There was a strange tenderness in the moment. A reminder that even mistakes carried lessons. And even lectures could be softened by humor. Come back here. All right. Let us have the lecture. Yes. You are going to get a lecture. But what followed was not what Harris expected. Instead of anger, Jackie offered something far more complicated. A mix of honesty and experience wrapped in the language of survival. First, you have to figure out your escape route before you get hammered. And make sure it is downhill, so if you trip, you can roll out of danger. Wait. What? And if you are with a nerdy girl, push her down at the first sight of trouble. You get away. She gets a cool reputation. It is a win-win. Harris blinked. Why are you telling me this? Because even though I am not happy that you were drinking, I do not want you getting caught because your friends are stupid. And somehow, in that strange mixture of guidance and mischief, something shifted. Not dramatically, not all at once, but enough to matter. Across town, in a house filled with unfinished conversations and lingering expectations, Darlene and Ben stood at the edge of something neither of them fully understood. It was not just about love or fear or timing. It was about the quiet spaces between those things, the places where people either stepped forward or turned away. I am not ready for this. Her voice was steady, but not cold. I still have a thing for my wife. Ben nodded, accepting the truth without trying to reshape it.